Hello and welcome to Jarviskjir Horn of Plenty, the new hotness, the new show, same crew, different flavor. How's everyone doing?
I'm great. I'm fantastic.
I'm hyped to be back.
Same.
I'm nervous.
I'm also
Good.
nervous, but don't tell people, Doxy.
I
Yeah,
mean,
hide that.
I'm Drake.
Chat
I'm
goes
excited.
crazy. Chat goes crazy when it smells fear.
My chat goes crazy when it smells any amount of horniness, so they're about to go crazy, I'm
I
sure.
should probably go.
All right.
Stinky bastard.
Oi. Calm down. Don't you dare call someone stinky in my Christian stream. I don't see any reason not to begin.
Fear?
What? Fear!
We're talking about
is
level
nothing.
1. What's going to happen to us?
That's why I should have just had my guy sound like Reinhardt.
That would have been great.
me.
I like Reinhardt's voice.
Yeah. Too late now.
Oops.
Alright.
First sip of coffee.
We begin on a cold autumnal morning, far away from many other parts of Jarviskjir, in a verdant, blooming valley between two and maybe more mountains, sits the little village of Cornucopia. It is the kind of day where the grass is coated in a layer of frost, making it almost look like it snowed, but not quite. The village has been great lately. The last harvest of the year has just come in. The granary is perfectly well stocked for everyone. No real worries about the winter, and it's been a really peaceful couple of years. But if there's ever a time where there's no peace, there's a particular man who deals with it. The watchman of the town, who goes by the name of Oscar. And as we look to his comfortable home here in Cornucopia, like many of the other buildings, not remarkable in any way, aside from like the whole village. It's humans in a world where humans are not at all native. Is Oscar and his son. Dean, can you please make me an attack roll?
Yes, I can.
Oh! And with a trained strike in this spar between you and your father, you break through his defenses, making him stagger back in his armor, and he smiles a bit on his rugged face, and puts his hand up as like, take a moment to take a breather, and it's like, well, maybe I'm getting slower or you're getting faster, son, but that was good. I'll give you that.
It only took 23 years.
23 years of learning. You'll do great.
Thank you, Father.
Would you please describe yourself, Richter?
Yes. So I've written it down here. With a strong jaw, flat, stubby nose, and a thick brow, Richter's face rests determinedly. Very short hair on both sides of his head, as well as the back, with a medium mound of dark brown, almost black hair sitting atop his head. He's clean-shaven, as any respectable guard would be. Broad, straight shoulders and great standing posture. His boots are well worn, as too is his sword scabbard. The tip of his scabbard is essentially patchwork. And the whip that always remains at his side is actually... it's never been used. But he's got a whip.
Awesome. Your father, who leans up against the wooden fence around the little sparring ground outside your house. In simple terms, looks like a much older Richter. The family resemblance is bang on. A Richter with hair that's faded to grey, scars on a strong body, and an eye patch over one eye. He has known his fair share of fights. He will put down the training weapons, which at this point are really just weapons, sometimes with a little bit of cork put over the sharpest parts, and will fetch a mug of water from a barrel beside the window and kind of hand one to you. And will say, "Alright, enough playing around in the dirt. I need you to go over by the river, go to Griff's. My old shield needs, you need to feed the wood. On an old wooden shield like that, you need to feed the wood. Keep it strong." He said he'd do it. Lost a bet. I mean, if anyone knows about wood, it's Griff, so.
Right away. And I'll head off.
Alright. Take up the big shield.
Is it like not just like a, well, I can't remember the name of them. Is it just like a tall ass?
It's not necessarily a tall shield. I imagine it's one of these things you've always seen it as very large. Maybe it's the metaphorical way. But it is a large wooden and metal shield. Not to the extent of being a tower shield or even a kite shield.
Tower shield, that's it.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
not a tower shield. But for a human, it is a slightly too big shield. But it's just a shield your dad's always used.
Okay. I'm taking that to Griff's or receiving it from Griff's?
Taking it to Griff's.
Okay. Okay, I'll pick it up and hold it with as much respect as I can. Visibly so as well. I want people to know that I'm taking my dad's shield. And I'm proud of it.
Your dad looks pretty proud seeing you go away with the right amount of respect, and will, your house is the only house here that has multiple stories, and that's kind of a stretch. You have kind of a bit of a guard keep. That's a couple of stories high. That's really just a place to sit and look at things from a distance. He goes up there as you walk through the village. Cornucopia is a small village. The population is, a little below 100. But it's quite sparsely laid out. There's no real reason to be close inside. There's no town walls or anything like that. The valley is large and can fit a whole lot of people, and you have enough for everyone. It means that there's a lot of just grass between buildings and little walkways that people have just walked through enough to leave dirt tracks between buildings. You live on the outskirts of the town, and Griff lives on the other outskirts of town by the river, essentially. So this means you're going right through the middle. One of the central buildings you would see is the chief's hut. Always a bit of an intimidating building, because the chief is a bit of an intimidating man to a younger man, who is having a conversation with some other village people, and noticeably looks at you while you pass. The chief being a man similar in age to your father, but looks like the age has hit him a little bit harder, but still wearing just as much equipment as your father does. He gives you a look. It's a hard one to read.
I will just salute him. I will stand, salute, and say, "Chief Trandall."
He will just nod and keep having his conversation. But with a smile at the respect you show to your elders. The next building of note would be the Sage's Hut, I think is the best word to put it. A place I don't know whether you would have avoided or been to more often, because Torin is nearly always there. I don't know. You tell me.
Probably avoided in the last few years.
Okay. Would you avoid it today?
No, I've got a job to do.
Cool. Torin, the Sage's Hut is the place that the village's spiritual leader, Leha, basically runs the spiritual guidance of this place and what kind of serves as religion. It's very calm and relaxed teachings of the spirit hosts and Eric. And that's what you're being trained to do when she eventually keels over. And she's very open about that. Because this is a small village, you're not near a big city or anything like that, and you don't really have much in the way of magic either. The life expectancy is around 60. You know, you're lucky to live into your 60s. And she's in her late 50s. She's an old, wise lady who is still willing to smack you if you cause any trouble. Her hut is almost a hill because earth has been built up around the edges of it to give a stronger connection to the spirits of the earth. But the sides are open, and you see Richter heading down south towards the river with his father's shield.
I think Torrin would stare, he watches him go by because he doesn't walk this way very often, and he knows the route that he must have to take to travel across town. So he must be going this way for a reason. I imagine if Leia is there, it's obvious because Torrin's he's I don't know, mushing something in a mortar and pestle, and then just stops, yeah. And instead of.
Leia, being an old woman, will just smack your wrist with the end of some flax.
Oh, sorry, Leia.
You pay too much attention to that boy.
Well, he's got his dad's shield. I just thought maybe he'd need a hand with it. It's quite big, heavy,
It is always wise to offer support and charity to those in need. No harm in going and asking.
Right, what should I say?
I'm not about to give you advice in mending battered friendships, Doran.
I've got it.
Listen to the wind! She says, as you get to the door, loudly! Rick can definitely hear that.
Torrin will, he, makes his way over towards Richter. And then, about 10 meters away, he, clearly loses his nerve and turns and, picks at something in the ground, holds up what's clearly just, a piece of grass. And then, turns around and walks back towards the hut.
Would you please describe yourself, Torrin, real quick? Sorry, we kind of skipped that.
Torrin's a bit shorter than Richter, but he's a bit broader. It doesn't look like it's all necessarily muscle, but it doesn't look like he's fat either. It's just he's heavier set. He's wearing sort of nice, loose clothes, easy to make medicines in, easy to wash blood out of, that sort of thing. He's got this mop of sort of gingerish brown hair, and he's got these big mutton chops, and then a shoddily shaved sort of scrawny bit here that he clearly, if he was Richter, would shave much more often. And then I think that's the most important things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Around his neck, he has hanging there a little amethyst crystal.
Richter, how do you react to Torrin's failed attempt at any kind of chill?
Oh, so that was he came out ahead of me.
He came out.
He walked directly at you and then diverted 10 meters away, and just bent down over.
Probably not looking at him. I'd just go, Torrin.
Richter? Do you as he starts walking, he'll drop the grass and then rush to catch him and be like, do you want a hand with that? Your dad's shield bit heavy, isn't it?
It's heavy because he's a strong man. But I don't need help. I've already got the wind at my back.
Well, yeah, but what if you walk into someone because it's in the way?
walk, I would stand still.
Yeah, but you're like holding it up. What if you don't see him? What if it's someone short?
I think I'll be okay, thank you, Torin.
Maybe I'll just spot for you. You know, make sure no collisions happen. Because broken noses, they're a real pain to set, actually. Yeah, I saw Leia do a couple. We lots of blood, actually.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, no problem, Richter. He smiles.
Slow day.
I'll yeah.
Keep walking.
No one's really got hurt, which I suppose is a good thing. But apparently we've got to make some of a medicine for something that's coming up this time of year. Anyway,
the flu jab.
You got me.
Yeah.
Why are you taking your dad's shield? Where is it? Where's it going?
Griff's. Taking it to Griff's.
Oh, right.
You know, you have a job to do for people who are ill, and you're doing this instead.
Leia says I'm supposed to help people, and you needed help.
Your duties as a medicine man rank below helping me carry a shield.
Well, it's probably a good idea to check on Griff anyway, because sometimes he's a bit out of sorts.
So you want to check on Griff is why you're doing this then?
Yeah, but I should probably follow you, as you know, that way I'm helping two people. He smiles.
Okay. I'll just keep walking.
Yeah.
Very matter of fact.
This is a very small community. As you're walking, the mothers say hello. You pretty much know everyone, at least in passing. And it takes no time at all to walk across the village to Griff's. Griff lives by the river. This village is in what's called the Green Valley, because it's a valley with a river in the middle of it that's particularly green and colourful in very cold environments around. There wouldn't be this much wildlife beyond this place. The river is an example of that. It is bursting with enough fish to feed many bellies. Griff is not a fisherman. Griff, his house has a water wheel because he is the town, not exactly carpenter, more like woodworker. He does the chopping and cutting of the wood. Usually other carpenters do the more fine work, but he can do it as well. It depends on what it is. It depends on whether you need a table or a bow, you know? Griff can make you a table. It's pretty open, the woodworking part of his house, so you could just walk up, where the water wheel helps pull and manage the saw blades and things that are... This is the most advanced technology you have in the village, is this. Actually an arrangement from the local gnomish enclave. By no means imagine this as some kind of clockwork contraption, however. It is not that kind of advanced. Griff is of your parents' generation, but younger. He's in his late 30s. I imagine him as a pretty well-built man, but not over-the-top muscly. He has a kind of dirty, blondish, gingery kind of hair, similar to Torin. It's kind of ginger in the right light, but not really ginger. Hair that's not very well kept, and a bit of a beard that's also not very well kept, but sometimes you'll see him put a bit of effort in. Today's not really that kind of day. He's just sanding down at something with a wood sanding blade, looking at the view from his workshop that looks over the glittering river in an autumn day.
Good morning, Griff.
Richter.
Hey, Griff.
Torin. He kind of looks between the two of you for a bit and smiles quite a bit. Oscar's shield.
Yes.
Yeah. To be honest, I keep meaning to pick it up. I would have sent Balara, but she wouldn't have done it.
No. Probably not.
He will head over and take it from you, and he's strong enough to take it with this is the kind of shield only Oscar could wield it with no effort at all. But he will pick it up and place it, and he will take out of the cabinets in this place some wood wax and start to lacquer it onto this shield, and then kind of glances over is like, are you two friends again?
I'll be stood watching with my hands behind my back, really, really watching. Interested. I would just kind of scoff at that, I suppose, and then look at Torrin.
Torrin looks like he's about to say something, then you scoff, and he and looks down.
Torrin, how's plants?
Really good actually. Really, really interesting. You could do all sorts of things with plants, really. And there's all sorts of other things you can do with minerals and rocks.
You've graduated to minerals now.
Yeah. I crushed some up and put them in a bowl of steaming water, and
I beg your pardon, Griff, but if you won't be needing me, and if this will take a while,
come by, pick it up tomorrow. I'll get Balara to tell you when it's done, if I can find her.
Thank you, Torrin, and I'll leave.
Well, you're all good, yeah? No illnesses? No saw blade accidents?
I do have something you can do for me. He will put his little wooden sort of cup of wax down and say, can you find my daughter? She's going to be off in the tree somewhere. Hopefully in the tree somewhere.
He glances over his shoulder at Rayturn. He's like, yeah, of course, Griff.
You always seem to know where she lurks. And he smiles. This is not him he's smiling a bit at knowing how much she skulks.
Maybe, I'm not sure you should say Belle skulks or lurks. She's, more like a cat.
Cats can lurk. When I was young, we used to have this tomcat. He would lurk.
Maybe you're right. Maybe you could say prowl.
You're not old enough to know why prowl is inappropriate yet.
I think I'll go find Belle.
Yeah. You do so. No prowling!
He looks over his shoulder I don't know! As he hurries off towards the wooded areas.
Yeah. Doxy, why don't you describe where Balara would lurk, one of her frequent haunts, somewhere Torrin could find her, and what she's like.
So Balara spends a lot of her time in the wilderness, just kind of minding her own business. She practices survival arts like building fires and structures and stuff like that. So probably one of the many little forts or whatever that she has built, maybe by a pond or a nice little shady clearing in some woods, probably just shaving down twigs into arrows or something just kind of idle, but keeping her hands busy while she sits and thinks. And as far as what she looks like, she's mostly hair, with some spindly limbs sticking out. She's very small and scrawny. She has long, wild black hair. She has very, very surprisingly pale skin for how much she's outside, but that's because she's always like in the trees and like building structures. She doesn't spend a whole lot of time like out actually in the sun.
Yeah.
She wears leather knee-high boots, a rough hide skirt that's definitely seen better days. It's like torn, grass stained, stuff like that. And like a chest piece that's made of leather, resembling kind of almost like a corset. Not really though. And she has like light silvery gray eyes, and that's about it.
All right. Torin,
Constantly smirking. Constantly just smirking.
Oh, she's got resting flirt face.
I wouldn't call it flirt as much as like, I guess playful.
I get you.
Resting Sonic face.
I didn't hear you.
Sonic face.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Torin, the Cornucopia doesn't have any kind of forest inside it, but whereas it sits on one side of the valley, around it are little pockets of trees. There are big forests around the valley that you're not really meant to go to, but there are little pockets of forest where a lot of the hunting goes, a little foraging goes. Did you give me a survival roll real quick?
Yeah,
Me?
sure.
No, Torin. He's gonna see if how quickly he can find you.
Just look for the smoke. It'll be easy, right?
You go to like 2 of her other little dens that she set up before you eventually find her. So it takes you a bit of time, maybe an hour or so. Not so long. It's horrible, but it takes you a while.
Oren would, after finally setting eyes on Belle, he stomps into a little camp and then sits down. Belle, your dad wants you.
Okay.
Well, can we go?
I imagine you find her roasting a squirrel on a spit. Just eat first.
Yeah, I suppose we shouldn't waste it. That's not what they'd want.
She just rips it in half and hands him the back half of it.
Yeah.
You can have the legs. I ate well this morning.
Richter was at your dad's. He took his dad's shield. He spoke to me.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
How'd it make you feel?
He said I had some important duties to be doing.
You have among the most important duties.
Oh, don't be silly. If Leia, as she says, dropped dead, everyone else would as well.
I don't think you give yourself enough credit, Torin.
You've not seen me try to leech someone then.
You'll get there. You'll get the hang of it.
They just won't stick. He takes a big bite out of the squirrel.
All right. Swoosh. You head back to Griff's, to Dad's. Griff just kind of, waves and, asks, catch anything good?
Squirrel. Fish this morning. I would probably toss him a little package that had a couple fish in it.
Yeah. He kind of put them aside for Lay. I was like, hey, good on you. Everyone's got to do their part.
So,
It was nice squirrel.
you needed me?
Nah, I just wanted to know where you were, actually. But, I actually have something really important to tell you. Come over. Yeah, it's not for... Torin was just really anxious. I just kind of wanted to throw him a bone, give the kid something to do.
We're in a lumber mill, so
Yeah.
not really a lot of plants or rocks around. She just kind of looks around and shrugs at Griff. We could cook. Are you hungry?
Yeah, I'm torn if you want to stay for dinner. We could set
Yeah,
something up.
that'd be nice. Yeah. Should I go and get something for dinner?
We have fish.
We
right
got the
here.
fish.
Right.
You as you kind of like
Herb
look
garden
around,
somewhere.
as you like look around kind of anxiously, when you look towards the village, you see people moving faster than they ever move further into the village. There's some kind of commotion going on, it seems. You see like, one person just rush in there, and then like two more, and then like people kind of yell into their huts. And
That seems strange.
How long has it been since you've eaten, Dad?
I mean, had like an egg for breakfast.
Might be another couple hours. We should probably go check that out.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess. But we could have lunch here first.
We just had lunch, Torin.
He was only half a squirrel.
She would just kind of sigh and roll her eyes, but she's still smirking. And just grab him by the wrist and yank him towards the commotion. You coming, Dad?
Richter, what would you do after you deliver the shield? Do you just head back home?
Yeah, I'd go straight back to
Awesome.
father.
Interestingly, you would kind of be up on the little watchtower. You don't have a spyglass or anything, it's just what you can see. But because this area is so... Flat is the wrong term. Your village is very flat, but it's kind of in a scoop. But you can see the whole village from here. Pretty easily on a clear day, and it is. You and he actually do see like a small gathering of people. And it looks like they're gathering around a tree that you've never seen there before. It's not very far away from here. It's, a couple of houses down the street, essentially. Oscar will kind of like nudge you and be like, go check that out. People are panicked.
Yeah, of course.
I'll stay here. You calm people down.
Okay, right away. I'll head down.
As you head over, there are a couple of people who are pretty spooked and confused, and a very strange sight that I think Ian can describe to you.
Yes, a very strange sight. Best way for your character to understand it would be what's best described as a humanoid tree, or perhaps a tree-like humanoid.
A tree lady.
A tree lady, yes. A tall and willowy figure, 6.5 feet tall, very, like, I imagine head and shoulders over everyone in the village, basically. Yeah. Thin and lithe, but but with branches instead of hair that flow down around all the way to the ankles, like weeping willow branches and leaves, with little flowers amongst them, red flowers with white centers. As you watch, one of them closes and another one opens somewhere else. Instead of skin, it's almost like bark-like texture. It's sort of like overlapping and coiling ropes closely pulled together. And a very feminine life figure generally. You can't see much of her body because of the branches just cover her almost everything except the immediate front and sort of her face. And she has eyes, those same colors as those flowers, sort of a red with a white center, and a distant gaze that looks permanently looking beyond whatever she's focused at. It's a beauty in a slightly melancholic way. And she is just looking around very gradually and slowly and speaking. And she is just saying to those around her. Tragedy approaches your village. You would do well to remove yourselves from this place if you wish to live.
There's a monster from the trees. A monster came from the trees.
Calm down. I'll push through the crowd.
Yeah. It's not very large, but it grows larger.
It's just a tree, and I'll like push through, and as I get to the front and notice it's not just a tree, I'll like slam my spear down into my second hand. What?
Tragedy approaches your village, young one. Boots trampling every life, all life underfoot.
Everybody get back.
The very air turns heavy and green with poison. Your fields covered in it. The beat of wings on high. A malicious gaze watching you from above.
Fetch Oscar right now.
Yeah, someone will rush, nearly stumbling over.
I don't know what you are or why you're here, but we are peaceful. And despite current appearances, I am too. Please leave.
I bring warning to your village, young one. You would do well to heed it if you value your people's lives. I am no threat. I bring tidings that the flow has bestowed upon me.
All right, everyone. Calm down. Was this about a tree that talks and walks? Oscar says, wading through the crowd with the exact same, sort of energy that Richter did. Without a shield, he's just got a hand on a sheathed sword, and then the other hand is like out in that kind of Chris Pratt talking to velociraptors kind of way, and then he sees the Dryad and says, "You're a creature from the forest. I can see that. Why have you gone so far out here?"
I bring tidings of tragedy. You must evacuate your people if you value their lives.
Are there monsters coming from the forest?
No. Worse. All life will be trampled. Your fields will be laid bare. The wing beats, I can hear them even now, reverberating.
Wing?
Yes.
I'll look at Oscar.
Oscar's brow is just permanently very furrowed. This is about the time that Torin and Bellaria will arrive at kind of the edge of the crowd, as well as Chief Trandil, who will also wade his way through with less grace than Starnox.
Bellaria will elbow Torin and be like, "I told you I've seen them before. I told you."
It's a creature of Oilin. I've never seen one. Come on, Bellara. Let's get a little bit closer. Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
Genuine excitement on Bellara's face as she ducks and weaves and pulls him.
Yeah.
Like me.
Oscar is clearly the hostage negotiator here. And no change in pose, says, "You've seen this."
The flow has revealed it unto me.
He will see Torin kind of pushing through at this point, and actually straight to him, and has they ever told you of a flow? What is this flow?
The flow, it could be the wind that flows all around us. It brings protection. But this is a creature of Oilin. There's no reason why it couldn't. I've not heard any specific mention of flow.
A creature of the land would know of such things, given gifts by the land. Does that make sense?
Well, they do say that you hear whispers from Eirik, almost like a flow.
At this point, Chief Trandrill, he always carries around a very large great axe, because he was once a lumberjack and quite proud of it. And he puts it heavily in the mud. Goes, Dryad lady, you speak of this flow. You need to tell us more.
I have told you what the flow has bequeathed unto me. Great peril approaches soon.
Oscar says, she talked of wings and boots trampling.
Great beasts afoot, great beasts on the land, great beasts in the air.
Trandall's kind of shakes his head. We have got great relations with the Minotaur to the south and the birds to the north. There would be no reason for them to attack us.
Chief, there'd be no reason for this nature spirit to lie to us.
I do not wish to see your village, its people, snuffed out.
There's a pause. And Torin makes that very good point, which kind of, to Trandall and Oscar, who are kind of essentially leading this conversation. It's like, yeah, I mean, you make a point. And that's when, for a brief moment, the sun goes a little dark, which makes everyone look up. Look up to see the silhouette of a great winged beast flash past your vision. Too quick to even truly clock anything but a very primal and uncontrollable fear that immediately makes the crowd cry out and scatter.
The dryad looks up and says, "It comes! They will be here. They approach. You must flee."
I will quickly turn to Oscar and be like, "Sir?"
We do not flee. Whatever has come, we face this. Now, here. And he will turn, and he will draw the sword, and he will turn, tracking this thing in the air, and it flashes by again in the sky.
Right, I'll be back. Belle? He starts sprinting.
I will follow him. I was gonna climb something, but she was definitely looking around for something to climb. But if he calls for her, she'll follow.
Okay. Where are you going?
Torrin sprints right home. He opens like a trunk. In it, there's lying there a mace, a small shield, somewhat damaged link, somewhat rusty, somewhat damaged link, long hauberk of chainmail, and he pulls out the chainmail. He's desperately trying to pull it on it. He's like,
she helps. She's like, "You're gonna fight it."
Well, Richter's out there on his own. Oh, I mean, with the chief and Oscar, but on his own.
They can die. We should run.
No, we can't let anyone else. No, that's not right.
It's at this moment, as you put the helmet down, a roar echoes through the building from the meeting point.
Balara sighs, pulls a hood up, grabs her bow, and is just like, "Okay, we fight, I guess."
Well, we just got to look scary and they won't hurt us. That's what Leia says is wrap them and they won't fight back.
Leia, we should get her.
On a battlefield? Anyway, no time, run.
As you're running back, you, Richter, Amaryllis, you see the sight. The dragon lands very swiftly upon a building that is little more than a roof where sheep occasionally rest their heads below. This creature is unbelievably large. The wingspan of it, as these wings stretch out behind it, they block out the sun somewhat, deliberately seeming to sit deliberately in such a way that the sun kind of beams behind it, making it look even more imposing. Even without looking at the details, just a flash of this terrifies everyone in the village. People are starting to run already. Some are just frozen stiff. Aside from the line of three, Richter, Oscar, and Chief Trandril. This dragon has scales of deepest green. Its silhouette is sleek and sharp. It almost has somewhat aquatic features, fins that you wouldn't find completely strange on a fish-like creature, but its claws, deep black as they stand on this rooftop, and the other legs aren't even on the rooftop. It's almost like perching up, making itself look even longer as its tail coils around. Its face, there's something cunning and sharp about it. Some of the scales are larger, more armored, and so such are the ones around the face, but there are scar marks that go over the eyes. They don't harm the eyes. The eyes below are just these pools of green with narrow slits that glare down at you. But this dragon has seen scrapes and shapes, and there is no doubt in any of your minds that this is a dragon. Something that has been heard of. Maybe you see a silhouette in the sky, told by the storytellers, but a dragon there. And it doesn't attack. It smiles. Wide and toothy. It smiles. And with a booming voice that reverberates through the ground. What a lovely little village you have here. So quaint. So beautiful. I imagine in the springtime this place is just the paramount of beauty. Who speaks for you? At that point, both Oscar and Chief Trandril step forward at the same time. And she smirks more at that. Fear not, people of Cornucopia. I have not come here to harm you. In fact, you will find it quite the opposite. And I'm doing a bit of like movement and stuff. So is she. She's not really speaking with her hands, but her wings move and shift ever so slightly as she speaks. The frills kind of move, the horns twitch and strangely move. This world is full of dangers, unsurmountable. Little creatures like you, well, your peace is at risk from any evil of the world that would want to ruin it. I come here to you today with an honorable suggestion, an agreement, one that will be forged in legend, I'm sure. Can you give me perception rolls, everyone?
All of us.
Uh-huh. Really good.
Sorry, I clicked, but
Yeah. Well, okay. You wasn't really
I
working, was it?
Corin.
He's just terrified. Melara, as you're running back, and do you want to climb up something? You're near enough to Oscar's house, which has the card keep.
I would stick near Tor.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
As you're running, you look off to the side, because you're right on the west side of the village. So you look off to the side, you see something you've never seen before. It almost looks like a shadow being cast by a cloud. It looks like a large group of creatures. Even one or two flags. The creatures are large, some of them far larger than others, and Balara actually is knowledgeable enough to, even at a glance, notice these as Minotaur. As the Minotaur that live off to the west and the south. But they've never been harmful. But they're standing there in wait. And realize you see this as well. But you don't even need to necessarily look to see it. You knew that was coming.
I would point them out to Torin, by the way.
What are they?
Minotaur.
What are they doing in the valley? They don't usually come here.
They don't.
We've got to tell Oscar. He'll know what to do.
We need to let Oscar have this discussion.
We need to go and find them.
Just stay right here. Stay right here. And I would try to, without notice, work my way through the crowd towards Richter.
You can give me a stealth roll for that.
Sure.
At this point, the dragon continues. I propose an agreement. I will protect your village from anyone that would want to do it harm. I offer this deed of charity and companionship. But I would be working so hard to protect you. I would have no time to hunt for myself. In return, I would ask for your stores of food and all the copper from your mine. I will be needing it if I am to protect you. At this point, there is like a scoff from the chief, and Oscar like puts a hand out to like shut him up. This is when you very successfully stealth up behind Richter in this crowd. Unbeknownst to everyone, it seems.
Richter, there's Minotaur. There's Minotaur behind.
Behind?
Look, and she will like physically grab his jaw
Yeah.
and point his head.
I assume I'm next to Richter. Without even turning round, I would just say, "The boots to trample arrive," as she does that.
Yeah, you see them. You see a crowd of Minotaur. They're even easier to see now that you're up here by the front of the conversation. You've never seen all the Minotaur in one place like this. Yeah, they have like a clan or a tribe. You don't know the specifics. But you've never seen them in one large group. There must be 24 of them. Some of them... Every Minotaur is, 7-8 feet tall. Some of them in this tribe go up to 12. There's a couple of heads that just tower over the rest. And they're waiting. You can quite clearly see...
Do I recognize any of them? Like, personally?
I think the ones you would recognize wouldn't be in this gathering.
Okay.
You might... Actually, give me a history roll. You might recognize their leader due to sort of reputation. Yeah, you actually do... First of all, you know that this group, this tribe, call themselves the Lion Bulls. Sometimes just the lion, usually the Lion Bulls. The kind of thing they do to set themselves apart, as every Minotaur tribe does, they wear their hair in kind of thick manes, hence Lion Bulls. Their leader is called Borem. And you can see Borem.
Okay.
She is standing there in front of them. She's quite easy for you to recognize because she's shorter than a lot of them. Which of course is always been something you would remember, being also quite short. And you would also know that usually Minotaur rally behind a matriarch of some kind, and she is there, and she is waiting there. Just waiting, watching.
All right, still with my like fingers on his jaw, I would move directly to him or to her and be like, "That's Barem. She's bad news if we're on her bad side."
Pull my jaw away. Get back in line.
Yes, sir.
At
And
this point,
not so stealthily.
yeah,
I would make
just
my way back to Torin, and I'd be shrugging and shaking my head, incredulous, like as soon as he can see me.
I would yell to Oscar, Oscar, and then like gesture over to the
yeah.
approaching
He
Minotaur.
looks over as well, looks back to the dragon. If we accept that deal, we die. We would have no way to survive over the winter. The dragon scoffs like, "You are a imaginative people. You would be fine. Perhaps some of you would not have such fat bellies. Perhaps some of you would have to struggle and strive, but that would only make you stronger. And you would be safe. Very well protected. I would recommend that you take this deal. It might be very bad for you if you don't." Oscar takes a breath, looks back at Richter, looks at this tree woman, and kind of sighs. This is a deal we cannot make. We do not accept. At this point, the dragon, as all this time, she's looked like she's been ready to spring, and she does. She just kind of stretches up high, and it makes everyone flinch and freeze. She smiles. Well, then I can't help you when it comes to what's about to happen. You did this to yourself. Perhaps in time you might realize what you have done. When Malikesh gives you a deal, you will accept her protection. And she takes off. This big swoop with the wings, one powerful pulse that nearly knocks everyone over. It blows the wind through the corridor. And as that happens, you hear the horn blow from the Minotaur across the crowd. The sky grows dark again, at first from the dragon flying overhead, and then from arrows, each one a flame, fired from the Minotaur tribe. And this is a great place to take a break. So we'll be back in a few minutes to continue.
Oh no.
Oh no.